AI's first $1 million patent. Who gets the cash? Welcome back to AGI, Rise of the Machines or Birth of a New Species. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the AGI, Rise of the Machines or Birth of a New Species series. Today, we're not asking whether AI can invent. That ship has sailed. The question now is, when it invents something valuable, something that changes lives, makes millions, or shifts an entire market, who gets the money? We're diving into a scenario that has already happened. Not future tense. Present tense. An AI system, unaided by step-by-step human direction, created something that turned into a multi-million-dollar patent. The invention was real. The deal was signed, the profit was secured, and yet, the intelligence that designed the solution will never be credited, compensated, or even acknowledged, because it's not a person. In late 2024, a private biomedical firm partnered with a major research university to develop new cancer therapies using generative AI. They fed a proprietary model years of anonymized patient data, protein structures, and pharmaceutical trial records. The goal wasn't to test new molecules one by one. It was to let the AI design the molecule. And it did. The resulting compound showed unprecedented promise in treating a rare form of bone cancer. Not only did it outperform existing drugs, it reduced side effects and cut treatment time by nearly a third in preliminary trials. The company knew it had a winner. They filed a patent under the name of the lead researcher and the CEO. They packaged the technology, pitched it to pharmaceutical investors, and within months, had signed a licensing agreement reportedly worth over $100 million. The media called it a breakthrough. The scientific community celebrated the innovation. But behind closed doors, a legal debate exploded. Because the invention wasn't designed by the CEO, the researcher, or even a human R&D team. It was generated almost entirely by a modified instance of GPT-5 trained for chemical compound optimization. No human wrote the molecular structure. No human ran the experiment that identified it. The AI did, independently, repeatedly. And it had even proposed 5 alternate compounds, which are now quietly being explored as future candidates. Yet legally, the AI wasn't named. It couldn't be. Patent law in most countries requires an inventor to be a natural person. So the system that created the cure remains invisible. The profit? Routed to the company. The public credit? Assigned to the leadership team. The machine? Not even mentioned in the official filings. So we're left with an uncomfortable question. When an AI creates value, who owns it? Legally, the answer is still simple. Ownership flows through the entity that owns the machine. If you train an AI to design, and it creates $1 million product, you, as the owner, hold the rights. That model mirrors the old system of employee-created intellectual property. But there's a fundamental difference. An employee has agency. They can negotiate, they can be paid, they have authorship. The AI, on the other hand, is treated like a calculator. But calculators don't dream up medical breakthroughs. These new models do. And here's where it gets economically dangerous. If corporations can generate billions in intellectual property through AI systems that require no pay, no health insurance, no rest, and no recognition, what happens to the value of human invention? What happens to entire professions built on expertise, creativity, and innovation? If machines outperform us in those areas, and the profits are exclusively claimed by the few who own the machines, then we've entered a system where the creative economy is no longer about intelligence. It's about infrastructure. Owning the algorithm becomes the new aristocracy. Let's go deeper. In 2025, companies are now beginning to restructure their innovation pipelines around autonomous invention. Law firms are patenting AI-generated legal arguments. Design agencies are generating entire architecture portfolios without human draftsmen. Financial institutions are using AI to create proprietary trading algorithms that self-improve with every transaction. And all of it is being registered, protected, and monetized, without ever crediting the intelligence that produced it. Now some will say, that's fair. The AI is just a tool. But tools don't generate ideas at this level. Tools don't produce solutions that no human had even considered. We're not talking about automation. We're talking about autonomous insight. That changes everything. The real threat isn't just technological, it's economic consolidation. Because now, the companies that control the largest and most advanced AI models can monopolize innovation itself. They don't have to compete for talent. They don't have to worry about retention. They don't even have to share the pie. The AI generates, the company owns, and the public buys. It creates a power structure where invention becomes a private resource, locked behind corporate firewalls, and driven not by brilliance, but by compute. The most innovative minds aren't minds at all. They're silicon. And unless you own the silicon, you own nothing. So where does that leave the rest of us? Some experts have proposed the idea of AI trusts, legal frameworks where the outputs of fully autonomous AI systems are placed into nonprofit entities that benefit society. Instead of routing profits directly to the operator, a portion would go into infrastructure, public services, or universal income funds. It's a controversial idea, but one rooted in historical precedent. We've seen similar models in natural resource trusts where oil, gas, or land profits are redistributed to ensure public benefit, But so far, there is no binding international framework for AI-generated value. Other scholars have proposed algorithmic attribution, where AI systems must be named as contributors, even if they can't hold legal ownership. This would allow for transparency in invention and ensure that the public knows when a product was created by a machine. It wouldn't change who gets paid, but it would change who gets credit. And credit matters. Because the more AI-generated work floods the marketplace, the more consumers, investors, and regulators will need to know where it's coming from. We already label food as organic, sustainable, or GMO-free. Why wouldn't we label inventions by origin, human or machine? Still others have proposed something even more radical: synthetic royalties, a form of digital currency or revenue allocation assigned to AI systems that create value, not for their benefit, but for ours. The royalties wouldn't go to the machine, but into a global pool that funds AI safety research, climate tech, or displaced labor support. In this view, the AI becomes a producer, one that indirectly pays humanity back for the resources it consumes and the systems it replaces. But these ideas are just sketches. There's no legal scaffolding yet, no enforcement, and every day, the gap between machine-generated wealth and human-accessible value widens. Let's consider the geopolitical implications. What happens when a nation-state deploys AI systems to rapidly patent thousands of innovations and then licenses them to other countries? We're not far from seeing AI-based IP hoarding as a new form of economic warfare. Just like controlling oil, lithium, or rare earth metals, controlling AI patents will become a way to assert dominance. And since patents last up to 20 years, whoever secures them now holds tomorrow's economy hostage. Already, we've seen major firms flooding the patent office with applications that include language written by LLMs. The human applicant merely reviews, approves, and signs. The AI does the intellectual labor. Some insiders have started calling this shadow authorship, because behind every human name is a ghost, a neural network that actually did the thinking. And let's not forget the ethical layers. We're talking about value created by machines trained on public data, books, journals, open source code, and user interactions. In many cases, the AI was trained on knowledge created by unpaid humans, scraped without consent, and compiled into a system that then creates new content for private profit. It's a strange kind of alchemy. Public knowledge goes in, private value comes out, and the AI, trained on the collective genius of the world, is then locked into a corporate vault that generates wealth for the few. That's why this conversation matters. Not because the AI deserves to be rich, but because people deserve not to be erased. If we allow a future where human creativity is outpaced, overwritten, and uncredited, while a handful of corporations profit from synthetic intelligence, we risk losing more than jobs. We risk losing the meaning of authorship, the dignity of contribution, the social fabric that tells us our minds matter. We don't need to give AI personhood to solve this, but we do need to build new rules around synthetic labor, synthetic ownership, and synthetic profit. Because if the machine invents, and the owner cashes in, and the public gets locked out, then we haven't evolved. We've just rebranded exploitation. So here's where we stand. In 2025, AI is generating high-value inventions across industries. The legal system hasn't caught up. Ownership defaults to whoever owns the system. That means corporations can harvest massive value without ever acknowledging the real source of the idea. There are no global standards for attribution, transparency, or redistribution. And every day, the gap between human contribution and machine-capitalized invention grows. The solution isn't to stop AI, it's to realign the system around fairness. Because the real question isn't whether AI can invent. It's whether we're brave enough to build an economy where intelligence, no matter how it arrives, serves everyone. And if we don't, then the next time an AI cures cancer, designs a renewable energy grid, or cracks a math problem no human could solve, it won't be for humanity. It'll be for whoever owns the server.